to all of this is this concept of a walkable, mixed-use urban neighbourhood. And this is a fairly well-known concept now. This is about 400 metres, kind of circle. In a suburban condition, that would be about 2,000 homes. And the notion is that if you live here on the edge of the walkable neighbourhood, you can walk in 5 minutes to most of the services that you would need on a daily basis: primary care, a primary school, a post office, a bank, a food shop. You don't have to get in your car to travel to do that. You use your car, and it will be a clean electric car on a dedicated lane, with dedicated cycle routes and dedicated bus route, probably along it on the main arterial routes. But you don't have to do that to meet the daily needs, because the distances are short enough. You've got jobs, commerce, industry, along high streets, and proper neighbourhood centres that are well resolved. So we need to look at your neighbourhoods in Auckland and see whether they can function in that kind of way. That's the sustainable way of the future in cities and towns across the world, is to look at how we can walk and cycle to the services that we need to remove the need to travel by car. And it adds insult to injury, so you can't use your car if you don't have that kind of land use pattern. Because all you're doing is denying often poorer people access to the services that they need, making it expensive and frustrating. And that's one of the problems with congestion charging in cities. It's not thought through the land use pattern that needs to happen first to make it easier for people to walk and cycle. And this is an idealised set of data. It comes from the University of the West of England, and it's about how far you should be prepared to travel for different services. So 5,000 metres for a general hospital, but much closer for a local health centre. So this kind of rational planning, and it's a bit hyper-rational if you apply it very literally across all cities, but it's crucial to a sustainable pattern of land use. We applied this to the growth of a new town in Harlow in Essex and Hertfordshire in England. This was a project for the BP Pension Fund, one of the largest pension funds in the world, and we said to them, we'd work on it, 25,000 houses, if it could be Europe's exemplary sustainable development. And this is a bit about some of the concepts that we applied. So this, on the bottom here, is the existing struggling new town of Harlow. Bear in mind, it's 20 minutes from Cambridge, 20 minutes from the City of London on the rail line. It's near an international airport, yet it's failing. And it's failing because it's very badly designed. It's car dependent. It's got cul-de-sacs rather than connected streets. It's got a kind of failed version of modernist architecture, all built at the same time. And it was massive social engineering in that after the war, the slums of the East End were cleared and the people were moved into this new town as a kind of almost utopian experiment. And things that, as sustainability people, you'd think would be really good, like green space. There's too much of it. Look at all this. These are called green wedges, and they're celebrated in Harlow as being a good thing. They're actually ecologically very barren. Hardly anyone uses them because they're too big in a way, and so people feel exposed when they're in there on their own. And it separates out the neighbourhoods and compounds this lack of connectivity across the place. So when we were designing literally the doubling of the size of this new town, we did it around 13 walkable neighbourhoods which would be relatively self-contained in terms of employment, retail offer and so on. You can see them marked on there. This is another project this is our own development through a company called Blue Living on the edge of Reading. And we do this walkable neighbourhoods analysis at the beginning. On the edge of Reading, this kind of suburban sprawl. We've got business parks around the motorways, and they've separated out where people live from where they shop, from where they shop to where they work to where they get their leisure. And again, they've got terrible congestion as a consequence of separating out these land uses. We look on the edge of Reading, and in the walkable headshed, or the distance that people are prepared to walk, you find almost no neighbourhood centres, so people are almost forced to use their car to do their shopping. Actually, they come here to a big supermarket, they drive here from here, because there's no direct route to go onto the motorway and come round and do their shopping. An astonishing piece of planning. So one way of planning our new development, we try and design a neighbourhood centre that can also be used by the people in this sprawly urban condition alongside. There's another example of a walkable neighbourhood, this one again for Harlow. This is a new high street with a primary school at the apex, right at the heart of it. Farmers market at the front, playing fields that everyone can use. Employment, cultural, and other mixed-use offer in the middle of that walkable neighbourhood. And this was designed by the Prince's Foundation. I personally don't like the architecture much, but it's a great diagram. This was again for Harlow. It's a great diagram of what a relatively intense, as you would say, neighbourhood might look like. And it's got an incredible range of housing choice and tenure and scale and price. Big builds, small flats. But this is an ordinary suburban condition, and yet it's got shops and cafes and so on around it. Walkable neighbourhood, fundamental building block of sustainable communities. Another important principle is fine-grained, textured urbanism. Small plots, which make it, why are there so many people walking along there? It's because it's a very pleasurable street. Why is it a pleasurable street? It's sheltered, but it's got fascinating things happening on the ground floor of these buildings. Look at a super block in a modern city. There's absolutely nothing happening on the ground floor. You get a bland concrete wall or a bland glass wall, or it's set back too far. This is superb urbanism. It's no surprise that people want to be there. It's designed in order to be humane and civilized, the opposite of what we often do here. This is a famous example, the Ramblas in Barcelona, and it's not anti-car. You've got 2 lanes of traffic on here and 2 lanes of traffic here. You've got a superb piece of public realm where families could walk, and they do walk at all times, but particularly weekends up and down here. Shaded with beautiful trees, because it's a hot place. Pretty much all cities are going to get hot in the future and wetter, and so the greening of cities is critically important, and tree planting is part of that. And this is fine-grained urbanism at its best in the world. This is Amsterdam, and a classic Dutch urban block. It gives you diversity and adaptability, continuity. It changes the whole time, and yet it's somehow never changing. It's got those qualities that enable it to endure. It's vibrant on the street. The buildings come right onto the street. It's great public life. And you've got these beautiful private courtyard spaces in the middle. The densities here are miles beyond what you would call intensification. And yet the quality of civilized urban life in those around those blocks is as good as anywhere in the world, arguably. And that's often what we see instead. It's a bit of an extreme example. Car-dependent zone, single-use stuff. This is Mayoral Conversation. I'm going to speed up because I'm running out of time in relation to some things I want to say. Great streets. This is another Amsterdam street. Again, it's not inaccessible to vehicles, but this is a city made for people and made for bicycles. These are streets that we're designing, street typologies for the Olympic legacy. This is Stratford in the East End, designing shared space streets for skateboarding and cyclists and for children to play as well as vehicles to move. And people in cars don't want to kill children on the streets. It's just that it happens because of the way they're designed, actually. And you could design it a wholly other way. Street markets in the East End of London being planned as part of the Olympics. This is Brandenburg, in the Netherlands. This is a brand new settlement of 9,000 homes. Suburban condition, but beautifully created. This was shot very early in the morning. It's normally a lot busier. But look at there's a lot of intensity there. And some of the flats and apartments are superb spaces in this environment. Again, another street that we're designing for the Olympics. This one with a lot of trees and green walls and green roofs. This is for climate change adaptation, which is obligatory. There's planning guidance for that now in Britain. And the park that's being designed is also being designed to an ecological program, what we call productive landscapes and total urban ecology. It's the notion that you can have very rich biodiversity in an urban condition, not just in a park, but on roofs, on walls, in the streets, in rills for sustainable urban drainage. So you can have extraordinary rich ecology of human beings and of other species. The importance of markets, this is Marrakesh, the spectacle of people coming together to shop and to